Now, Naspers or the Naspers stock closed on Friday, trading around 1,845. Now, this came after this stock had dropped to its 52-week low of just below 1,400. Now, this caused some panic, or this brought some panic to those that invested into Naspers, especially towards their all-time high of almost or of around 4,000 rand per share. Now this, like I said, it is bringing some panic, but to others, they are taking this as a good opportunity to probably increase their holdings or buy this Naspers stock for the very first time. Now you remember, those of you who've been following me for some time, this is not the first time I covered Naspers. I think this should be my third video, the third video where I cover this stock Naspers. In fact, I think 2-3 weeks ago, I did a video about Naspers saying that I will be buying it for the very first time, and which I did. And ladies and gents, to date, as seen on the screen, you'll notice that just from, I think, 2 weeks ago till now, I'm sitting at over 10% of returns from this Naspers stock, which is something that is truly amazing. Now, you'll remember that from my previous video, I did indicate to you that Naspers is a good company which is doing quite well. I mean, from their total revenue, when we check from their 2021 annual results, we saw that they reported a 32% increase from their total revenue they generated, or it was a 32% increase when comparing to the total revenues they generated in 2020, which is something that was truly amazing. Now, you'll remember that also on their headline, or looking on their headline earnings, they reported a 21% increase, which is something that is truly amazing. And last but not least, we also discussed their trading profits, which grew by 45% when comparing to the total profits they generated in the year 2020, which is something that it should definitely motivate you or show you that this is a company which is doing quite well. Now, somebody might come now and say that, though, what is making the share price of this company to drop, as it is reporting some good revenue generation, it is doing well when we look at their business financially. Now, one of the main reasons, guys, why Naspers shares have been dropping is the fact, or it's because of the Chinese crackdown. And those of you, again, that have been following me for some time, you will remember that I have done a lot of videos on this channel explaining or trying to give you the latest developments around the Chinese crackdowns, which, ladies and gents, took place or started taking place early last year in 2021. Now, these Chinese crackdowns, you'll remember that it affected a wide range of big tech companies and educational companies in China. So this took place or happened last year or early last year. Now, somebody might be asking as to how does this affect a South African stock like Naspers? Well, Naspers owns one of the big tech company, or they have got a huge stake in one of the big tech company called Tencent, which is based in China. Now, that Tencent, or this Tencent, is a technology company which Naspers had initially bought it 20 years ago by around $32 million, and that they had bought 46% of that company, Tencent. But I must tell you that, one of the good things is that this Tencent, guys, after those crackdowns, its share price dropped sharply. In fact, those of you that invest into Chinese stocks, you will remember or realize that the share price has dropped sharply due to these crackdowns. But the good thing about Tencent, or the fact that Naspers acquired 46% of Tencent, is that this investment has made a lot, or brought a lot of money into Naspers, which is why it is the biggest contributor in Naspers financials, which is something that is truly amazing. And by the way, though it is contributing this high percentage into Naspers financials, it is not, or Naspers don't own that 46%. They've been cutting or selling their holdings of Tencent. In fact, I think from their latest annual results, I think Naspers owned about 29%, or they now own about 29% of this Tencent company, which is something that it must show you of how big this company is. I mean, the fact that it is constituting, or it is the number one company that is constituting a lot into Naspers financial statements. And of course, you will remember that Naspers is not a very small company. It is a massive company. And I mean, of course, I won't go back and give you some of the figures, but if you want to see the kind of figures or the kind of value this company is, I mean, I would suggest that you go visit my previous video where I was talking about this Naspers. I will link it also in the description below. Naspers is a very big company. Now, this company Tencent accounts 571 million in dividends for the period which ended, or for the 6-month period which ended in September of last year. Now you just have to, or this just has to show you of how big this Tencent constitutes in terms of the financials, or in terms of the value of Naspers, which is something that is truly amazing. And you have to see the kind of contribution that this Tencent company brings into Naspers. So the fact that this Tencent, which brings a lot of value into Naspers, were being impacted by the crackdowns which happened in China early last year and caused the shares of Tencent to drop sharply, it also resulted, or it is one of the main things that also resulted in the shares of Naspers dropping sharply also, which is something that it is one of the main reasons why we are seeing, or we saw the shares of Naspers dropping. So whatever sort of like happens around the technology sector, which is in China, which one of their main companies is in Tencent, whatever happens there and affect those companies, it will also affect Naspers, which is something that you must always have in mind. But the good thing is that Naspers, it looks like they are reducing their holdings into this Tencent, and they are diversifying, or they are going elsewhere to also diversify and put their money into other countries, which is something that is really amazing. Now, these crackdowns into big tech stocks is not something that is a problem only in China. In fact, one of the portfolio manager of a certain company indicated that it is a problem in the entire world. So these crackdowns, or regulating these big tech companies, it's not a problem of China, which resulted in them doing crackdowns on those big tech companies, but it's a problem that is happening around the entire world as to how do those big tech companies get regulated. So this is something that you might see even happening in other countries, probably bringing crackdowns, trying to find a way to regulate these big techs, or those big tech companies, which is something that you must always have at the back of your mind. This just simply means that we can expect crackdowns to happen, or we can expect something similar to what we saw China do happening also in the US, happening also in other countries, because regulating these big tech stocks or companies is a problem, like I'm saying. So these are some of the main news, or big news, that have been making the shares of Naspers to drop sharply. But like I said, this is something that it is a short-term thing, and we will see the shares of big tech stocks like Tencent recovering yet again, because I remember, or I think late last year, there were rumors saying that the crackdowns for the big tech companies have sort of like come to an end, which I think that gives investors some confidence again to say that we will get, or they will get to see those stocks, or those big tech stocks in China recovering, which is a good thing. So what are my sentiments on Naspers? Naspers, I still believe that it's a good long-term stock which will do very well, and especially that, as I've indicated, that the Chinese regulators indicated that they have accumulated, or they've sort of like gotten what they wanted with the crackdowns. And there are rumors, or there were rumors indicating that late last year that the crackdowns had come, or it was in the conclusion phase. It's something that I think it should bring ease to investors, and also probably make those that are investing into Naspers to probably stick for a longer term into this stock, because we can at least now expect to start seeing a company like Tencent, which is partly also owned by Naspers, doing well or recovering quite well. And yes, I know that China is also facing, there are also delisting fears there, which again, the Chinese regulators have assured us, or given hope to investors, saying that they believe that they will find a solid ground with the US to find a way not to delist these Chinese stocks from the New York Stock Exchange, which I believe that all these things are just a short term, and in the long term these Chinese stocks will recover yet again. Otherwise, with all that, guys, I just thought I should just do this short brief video and give you, or highlight to you, as to what are the main, or some of the main things that are dragging this Naspers stock down. Otherwise, Naspers is still a very good long-term stock, which I believe it will do very well. Otherwise, I make tons and tons of stock market investing videos, and if you think that this video was amazing, please don't forget to hit that likes button. And if you're new, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click that notification bell, so that YouTube can notify you every time I release a video. Otherwise, that's all from me, and I wish you nothing but the best in your stock market investing journey, and God bless you all.